recent quarter. That's not quite as bad as forecasters had expected, but Target continues to struggle. Retail rival Walmart is set to report earnings tomorrow. Target's chief executive, Brian Cornell, will step down from that role in February, but stay on as board chairman. He'll be replaced as CEO by Target's chief operating officer, who's been with the chain for 2 decades.
It's NPR.
Live from News 88.7 in Houston, I'm Tom Perumian. A federal judge in San Antonio has blocked the new Texas law requiring the 10 Commandments be posted in every public school classroom. Texas Public Radio's Gabriela Alcorta Solario reports.
U.S. District Court Judge Fred Beery held that Texas Senate Bill 10 more than likely violates both the Establishment and Free Exercise clauses of the First Amendment. Plaintiff Rabbi Mara Nathan argued children's religious beliefs should be instilled by parents and faith communities, not politicians and public schools. The bill was signed into law by Governor Greg Abbott in June and was supposed to go into effect on September 1st. The ruling only applies to districts listed in the lawsuit. I'm Gabriela Alcorta Solorio in San Antonio.
It's a tall order. Move the Space Shuttle Discovery from the Smithsonian Institution in Virginia to the Houston Space Center. Space historian Robert Perlman says it's going to be an expensive undertaking as well.
The Smithsonian itself has said that their estimates would be that it would cost $200 to $300 million to move Space Shuttle Discovery to Virginia. And other estimates have put it even higher, upwards to $1 billion.
For now, the logistics of getting Discovery to Houston are mounting. Perlman says there are no 747 aircraft available to fly the Discovery shuttle to Texas. Dismantling Discovery would double the amount of money to restore it. Checking sports, the Tigers blanked the Astros again 1-0 last night. They meet up in their final game in a little more than an hour. And checking your weather, sunny with a chance for afternoon thunder showers today, high of 98 with a heat index of 104. Tonight, a 40% chance of thunder showers overnight, a low of 78. Right now, it is 90 degrees and partly cloudy on the UH campus. I'm Tom Perumian, News 88.7.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Subaru, who, along with its retailers, is partnering with adoptaclassroom.org to provide funding to high-needs schools and local communities for the Subaru Loves Learning initiative. Subaru, more than a car company.
Live from the University of Houston, it's Hello Houston, an open forum on today's biggest stories affecting Houston and beyond. Call now, 713-440-8870, or let us know your thoughts on today's topics by emailing us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now here's your host for Hello Houston, Ernie Manous, Celestia Sherman, and Frank Billingsley.
Another busy day happening here.
I mean, it is only 11 o'clock.
Happy Hump Day.
And it is August 20th.
Yes.
Yes, we are flying.
Somebody on our YouTube channel, where you can watch us, just said it's also National Radio Day.
Oh, yes.
Hey,
and we're on the radio, so
Day.
congratulations to all of us.
Yes. And thank you for listening. If you're listening in your car or if you have us up on 88.7, thanks for joining us.
Yeah. So if you heard the rumbles yesterday, it seems like we're getting them every afternoon. Hot and humid until then. So look for temperatures around 96, 97, feeling like 103, 104.
So explain the cool in the morning. It's been unseasonably cool, hasn't it?
Well, it's been down around 70, so that helps. Yes, well, we get these storms coming through, and so that cools the air, so it has a chance to get down there. I mean, we'll see about a 10-degree drop overnight, right?
Right.
From 10 o'clock at night to 7 in the morning, it'll drop about a degree an hour. So if you can cool it down at 6, 7 p.m., then at least you have a running start to cool it down a little more.
Right.
So that's what. And we have a chance for thunderstorms this afternoon also.
Oh, so then maybe it'll cool again.
Maybe it'll cool again.
But
and remember that hurricane yesterday you were talking about 2 weeks from now?
Yeah.
The models have dropped it. Thank you.
Oh, good. So then
this
I
is
can
why we
still
don't
have
talk
my
about
beach
it.
vacation.
Yes, that's why we don't.
Anyway, we'll be following a lot more of that. We're also following what's going on over in the Texas House as they prepare to vote on HB 4. The discussion is underway right now on the floor. That is the new districting maps. And in the second hour of the show, Texas State Representative Penny Morales-Shaw is going to be joining us to discuss what she was part of yesterday, the Rip the Slip, but that seems to have been overshadowed by them moving directly into voting for these maps. We'll find out what's also in store for the 2025 second special session and the Democrats' plans moving forward. That's all still to come on the show. But today, the show's just full of rock stars. We're starting with a biggie, too.
That's right. Each of Texas's 254 counties is governed by Commissioner's Court. That consists of one county judge and 4 commissioners. Currently, Harris County is dealing with a $48 million budget deficit heading into the 2026 fiscal year, which starts on October 1st, which is one of the Commissioner's Court's key responsibilities. To manage the deficit, commissioners have proposed budget cuts that will impact certain Harris County departments. The Commissioner's Court is expected to finalize the budget cuts at a meeting September 9th, even though there isn't consensus on the court that the cuts are the right path forward. Hanging over the conversation is a recent bill to raise salaries for Harris County law enforcement that is adding $110 million to the budget. And joining us now is Harris County Precinct 4 County Commissioner Lesley Briones to speak about these topics in detail. Commissioner Briones, welcome to Hello Houston.
Thank you for having me, and congratulations on National Radio Day. Thank you. Happy to celebrate with y'all. Thank you for what you do for Houston and Harris County.
Thank you. And if you would like to join the conversation with a question for Commissioner Briones, you can call now, text or call 713-440-8870. Commissioner Briones, let's just start right off the bat. What does the county's financial situation look like heading into the fiscal year of 2026?
Yes. So we are working hard, as we have been for months, and we will pass a balanced budget for the October 1st fiscal year 26. Mm-hmm. So I'm happy to go into as much detail as you would like. Yeah. But this has been thousands of hours of team members' working collaboratively with over 70 county departments, really identifying where we can streamline efforts, where we can find savings, where certain departments have had historic surpluses, how we can reallocate. So trying to be as strategic and as solutions-oriented as possible, because we will close this gap. And as someone who grew up check to check, it is not only important to me as one of your county commissioners, but it's important to me as a taxpayer, as a mom of 3, especially where I came from.
Well, you're almost there. I mean,
almost there.
$48 million deficit, but we're talking about a $1 billion budget.
Yes.
So we have the general fund is about a $2.7 billion budget.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So we're down to less than 2%.
Yeah,
so I'm an optimist.
So close.
Yes.
So
Talk to us about that 2%.
Sure.
What is the plan and the solution?
Well, let me walk you through where we've been able to, and then I'm happy to talk about the law enforcement pay increase and all the different factors and kind of what has led us to today. But I come at this very much. I used to be a chief operations officer for a multi-billion-dollar nonprofit. So to me, finding operational efficiencies and ways we can do more with less is it fires me up in a way that maybe people may not find as sexy.
Finally, a scalpel person.
Yes, but it has to be strategic and
right.
thoughtful, right? Because to me, the services we offer to the people of Harris County are non-negotiable. Executing with excellence, non-negotiable. So we will get it done as stewards and as public servants. So here, if I can start with kind of where we find ourselves. So last year, and I'm smiling because I know how much you love weather.
Yes, you're right.
As you know, we had the derecho and barrel, and we had to do the one-time disaster exemption of the 8%. But before that, for the last 6 years, Harris County's tax rate has actually decreased for the last 6 years. And then last year, we had those 2 federally declared disasters, and I hope we jump into the county's role as a first responder. And so this year, we find ourselves with this deficit. One component, and I'll tell you all the solutions we're finding. And the bottom line is nothing is final, right? We will all have to vote. This is a highly iterative process. It's been months of work, and we're literally, my team is at the office right now, just line by line on these budgets. So take that with this, disclaimer. So in terms of the law enforcement, frankly, since I took office in 2023, Harris County was already approximately 20% behind in what we pay our Harris County law enforcement officers. And to clarify for our listeners, we, Harris County, we're on first for the unincorporated areas. And there's now more folks in the unincorporated areas than in the city of Houston. So this is our Harris County Sheriff's Office and our 8 constables' offices. So we were already behind. And then Mayor Whitmire and the city, as y'all know, passed the HPD approximately 36.5% pay raise, a 5-year plan. So add that, it's approximately now 60% behind. We invest your taxpayer resources in recruiting, in training our law enforcement officers. HPD has approximately 1,200 vacancies. We cannot lose our law enforcement officers that we have trained, those years of experience, and they're doing what's right for them and their families, right? They can earn so much more, right? Like I'm still paying off my student loans. I get it, right? I don't fault anybody, but Harris County, we need our deputies. And so we already had approximately 320 vacancies that we were having a hard time recruiting and retaining folks, exacerbated by this historic 36.5% increase. So we need to do something and take decisive action to make sure that we are not going to be hemorrhaging officers to HPD and other agencies, surrounding counties, et cetera. So me and 2 other members of the court, we decided to take decisive action. We are going to have pay parity in a 5-year plan. We worked collaboratively with our law enforcement partners, the labor partners, the court offices, budget office, county attorney, et cetera. And so we have a plan. So that will cost approximately $101, $102 million. And again, and this is so important to me because, number one, public safety is the issue I hear over and over from my constituents in a bipartisan way. And I've been the victim of crime several times. So when we want law enforcement officers to show up,
right,
and I don't want the response times, which need to be reduced already, I don't want them to be exacerbated for my constituents here in Harris County.
Which Commissioner Briones, I think, sounds excellent. And I think most people can get behind everything that you've absolutely said. But a lot, like you have said, is focus during this time has been around raises to Harris County law enforcement. But the county is still in a deficit. And so how do we plan to balance the budget when we are adding to that deficit?
Let me tell you. So again, the COO, you're lighting my fire, Celeste. So here we go. So there, again, it's just been a highly collaborative effort. So one key driver will be vacancy savings. We identified approximately 1,200 vacancies. I'm going to zero in about 500. 500 of these vacancies have been unfilled for 6 months or more. So these are vacancies that haven't been filled, and we're still delivering the high level of service that we are day in and day out. So the vacancy savings will be one driver.
Can you give us an example? What jobs are not being filled?
Like an IT position. I mean, they're across. We have over 70 departments, right? So they're across departments, but they're all sorts.
Two people are gone, and one person's doing the work of those 2 people. And
it can be, or it could be natural attrition. It could be retirement, or it could just be, things have been streamlined.
And you're like, we're doing fine without them.
Improved technology, or just changes, right, as we continue to grow and expand. So this is across.
I'm going to hold you right there for
Sure.
one. Just quick question though. As we have this discussion, and like Celeste and a lot of people have used the term raises, and I think we're misleading. We say it's more pay parity as opposed to giving a reward for good work. It's trying to level a playing field. Is that an accurate way to look at it more so?
Correct. So the bottom line is we would have continued to lose officers, which would have affected all of our public safety. So we're leveling the playing field with HPD. That's the bottom line.
And then you look at these vacancies, and it's like we've been doing fine without them. So why don't we just continue without them, and then we'll have that money and not pay it out?
So that's one of the savings. So that's vacancy savings.
Roughly amount of money that gives us.
That'll depend on how many we ultimately cut, but it could be approximately $55 million, just right there.
Okay.
Out of 500, of those 500 vacancies, you would say $55 million.
Approximately. It depends because there's 1,200. I'm really and I can't speak for my colleagues, obviously, but I'm really zeroing in on the ones that have been opened for 6 months or more, right? Because you've been doing the work. There hasn't been an urgency to fill it. we've been
So I
moving
always like
forward.
to tie it to money because I think we
Yes.
lay
Yes.
people don't realize how much these things amount
Yes,
to.
no,
and
so
that
it's
helps us.
and please, like everything is approximate until
Right.
the
Yeah,
vote is
absolutely.
cast. So another one is, for example, tech savings. So again, with over 70 departments, many departments were purchasing, whether it's their own laptops, their own licenses to software, et cetera. So we have streamlined that, centralized it in our county-wide IT department, which we call Universal Services. So we get volume discount, right? Bulk order discounts. We can pay for one subscription and we save money. So that'll be approximately, depending again how it exactly plays out, it could be another approximate 12 million right there. There's even landlines, which we have a web phone service. I'm not an IT person, but it still excited me to be like, we can bring that particular line into the contract for web phone, right? And you can still have the actual desk phone, but do it in a way that consolidates. Again, finding savings, being strategic as stewards. Another example is, and this is something that if you want to talk, we could talk for hours, but our jail, we have serious problems with our jail, and there's many layers to that. Well, as many know, we unfortunately have not been passing the state jail standards inspection. And so one of the reasons is actually because we don't have enough detention officers. Again, we need to level the playing field so we can recruit and retain folks. But the result of that is because we don't have enough staff, we have had to, and because of backlogs that COVID and other things have exacerbated, we've had to outsource folks to 3 private facilities, which deeply bothers me.
Sure.
Well, we are on track because of strategic investments, namely in the district attorney's office. District Attorney Sean Tier is a fabulous partner who my team and I work so closely with. We have invested in his office strategically when he took office. Trials are up approximately 30%. We are moving cases, giving victims and defendants their day in court, having an outcome one way or another to these trials. And if somebody is convicted, they go to a state prison. If not, then we all can move on. But by moving those cases, now we have been able to responsibly manage the overcrowding, right, and the backlog of the cases. And so we're going to be able to end one of the 3 outsourcing contracts this fall. So that's several $1 million, again, in savings. And the outsourcing costs, when you ask how did we get to this budget situation, the key drivers have been, 1, jail outsourcing, which I cannot wait for the day, and I can tell you other things as a former judge, how we're working to reduce the backlog and move those along. But 1 is jail outsourcing, 2 is indigent defense costs, which have approximately tripled in the last few years. Happy to go into more detail if that is of interest.
Let me just interject here really quickly. So what you're saying basically is quality of life in Harris County for those of us living here would not notice these kind of savings that would go to help pay this police or this law enforcement equity, because you're looking at things that we can adjust without changing services we receive as individuals.
Right. To me, the services we offer, there will be, as far as my vote is concerned, we will not make any substantial cuts to the services we offer, whether that is the potholes we're filling, the ditches we're cleaning, our first responder after disaster services. We have parks, we have community centers, after school programs, summer camps, senior programs. I can go on what we offer. Public health, we have immunizations, we have, all sorts of great work that the county does. That to me that is sacred. I will never, the people that we are serving, that will be the last resort as far as I'm concerned. Instead, I'd rather roll up my sleeves and find these efficiencies, which we are successfully doing, and we will pass a balanced budget for 26.
You're listening to Hello Houston. We are speaking with Harris County Precinct 4 County Commissioner Lesley Briones. You can join the conversation at 713-440-8870.
So you mentioned the rainy day fund. There's some talk about maybe not having a full rainy day fund, like taking some of the money from the rainy day fund, or not putting what you normally put into it.
So one of the proposals from the budget office, and I want to thank our budget director, Daniel Ramos, and his team, because they have just really been very solutions-oriented and focused. That is one of the suggestions, to take a portion of the PIC, which is basically the rainy day fund, and put it into closing this budget deficit gap. I want to highlight, and I pray that FEMA we can talk about the federal government and the cuts that are deeply worrying about me. But we are waiting. So the PIC, it would be a small portion, but we are waiting still on $120 million of COVID reimbursement from FEMA, as well as approximately $70 million from FEMA for the derecho and barrel, and approximately 75% of that would be reimbursed. So the small amount that would be proposed, again, it's fluid depending on what the commissioners and the judge ultimately vote on, but that could be a small segment to take out, but it wouldn't be one of these catastrophic
Are you worried?
reductions.
Are you worried we may not get that FEMA money?
Everything we have heard, and we've been very closely in touch with our risk management department and our budget office, they are very confident we will get those reimbursements. Now, taking a step back, am I confident that FEMA, the way we've seen, that they will be here on the ground when we have the next hurricane? Will they be here as swiftly? That I do have open questions depending on what President Trump continues to do or not do with regard to FEMA, NOAA, the National Weather Service, and beyond.
I want to continue getting into the budget and all that and how it works. I'm
Yes.
kind of curious, though, from an outside view looking in. I think everyone looks at us as so partisan in today's world that you look at the Commissioner's Court and you say it's mostly Democrats. All this stuff is just going to work right through. We've seen a bit of a soap opera happening at Commissioner's Court lately. Where is the division coming from, and is there a lack of communication within party members that are elected in moving this forward?
So, personally, I have no patience or tolerance for drama or dysfunction. I am a working mom of 3. I'm a lawyer, and I used to be a judge. So I want us to keep conversations focused on facts and focused on finding solutions. So I really just want to stay laser focused, and I hope through my work that you all have seen, you have seen that commitment. So I'm here to do the work. I'm not here to create, misinformation or paint this
But isn't it in
dystopian
some way
picture.
promising that you're not all in lockstep, that different ideas are coming forward, even though it's a primarily Democrat group, that we're seeing these differences and changes?
I believe deeply in independent thinking and decision making. I know I see that with my 3 daughters. It's like you want them. Everyone is their own person, and I am a
lot of
strong
decisions.
woman with a lot of thoughts, and I do my homework. So I will always call it and like I see it, and everyone's there to serve the people. and we
There
have
is a
different approaches.
text we got from
Sure.
Leaf. With a $48 million shortfall, isn't it logical to talk about raising taxes? And what is the principal source of revenue for the county?
As far as my vote is concerned, raising taxes to me is a last resort. Before I go to the people of Harris County and try to raise the taxes, it has to be a last resort. I want to know that we have scoured every line item to see. Another example, and I can go on some of the other examples we
Because
found.
we've talked about vacancy,
but
we've
to
talked
me-
about tech, we've talked about jail. Where are some? We're still not quite there yet in numbers.
Some of them are overtime efficiencies as well. Others are like travel and training. For instance, adjustments to travel budgets, and you can go to online conferences. There's things like that. Fleet.
Well, if you're talking $48 million, if you get the $55 million from the vacancies, we are there.
Well, that's part of how we've reduced it. So it's still a work in progress, but literally we are working around the clock to find those additional savings. And the more you continue to scour, the more helpful it is. And you'll hear, for instance, what we asked all the departments to do is present, we call it a 90% current level of service, which is essentially present 10%, a menu of potential options. This is not, and I want to repeat, not an automatic cut. Potential options where you can help us find efficiencies and smart savings in your department. So that could be office supplies, that could be travel and training, that could be a whole host of things, right? And so we're looking at their proposed options as well as the full budget to find other. And this is a highly communicative process. We'll have department hearings so that folks can tune in online. We still have several more court meetings.
Which Commissioner
before
Briones,
the final decision is made.
When you sit here and you talk to us and you're looking at this and you're saying we're going to close the gap through vacancies in tech and jail and all of overall trainings and things like that, and you're wheeling it down, it makes a lot of sense and it sounds really good. But there has been a lot of tension. So explain to us, when you have only 4 commissioners and you have a judge, how are you all going to find that resolution? And what is the biggest conflict that's happening that we aren't in line and in step and moving forward?
So I don't want to speak for my colleagues and what
Sure.
might be driving their lack of understanding or lack of solutions-oriented thinking, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm like, we don't have time for that. We must close this gap. We must do it responsibly, and we need to preserve all services to the absolute best of our ability.
Right. So my question is, where does the tension lie then?
I don't want to conjecture for other folks where the tension comes from them, but I can say that as a lawyer and as a former judge, I'm looking at the facts and evidence. And again, we still have work to do. It is highly iterative, and I thank the department heads and all the teams working tirelessly. But it's about folks who want to do the work to find the solutions versus just create,
We had the judge in here,
consternation.
and she was talking about the penny tax.
Yes.
And I'm curious where we stand on that, how your understanding of it and your decision on how you voted.
Right. So no one supported, none of myself or the other colleagues, no one supported her proposal.
Okay.
Well, Rodney Ellis was a little bit of a support, wasn't he?
He did not vote in favor for it.
Okay.
But I don't want
So
to.
You were there.
So
I wasn't
based
there.
on voting,
I don't want to speak for anyone
so
else.
simply based on voting, nobody voted for the penny tax.
Correct.
Okay.
Other than her
To
proposal.
clarify.
To clarify, there was no support other than what she brought. This was an idea that we heard about through the media, and I love the media, but we heard about it 2 weeks before court from the media.
Yeah.
If you look at one of our peer counties, for instance, Travis County, they spent approximately 2 years working with experts, with stakeholders, with schools, with businesses, to design a program, working with the community to get the communication information out on what this tax increase would deliver for the people of Travis County. And even after 2 years of work, they're still in the process of launching, even after it passed. So what we have done in Harris County, thanks to the Biden-Harris administration, we have, as y'all know, had one-time ARPA funds, which we designed. And this happened even before I got to court, and all my votes that I've taken have been supportive of these ARPA pilots. These are pilots, and there's different streams of work within the early childhood portfolio that we have offered here in Harris County to help rebound from the pandemic. And I used to be a teacher. I'm the daughter of teachers. I'm a mom of 3 kids. I mean, childhood education and education generally is of deep importance to me. But to me, it's too important to not do right. And meanwhile, we will have a third-party independent evaluation of each of these pilot projects, see what has worked, what has not, why. So we as fiduciaries and as leaders, we need to make data-driven decisions, and we need to have a scalable and sustainable path forward that is built on true data and true stakeholder engagement. So I did not support.
Safe to say the concept isn't what you have an issue with. The process and how it came to be,
Right.
you have concerns with.
It's the process.
It's the process.
You know, something else that, we're talking about education and budget. Something else that we know is very top of mind for Harris County residents is disaster readiness and response. Can you talk to us about where we are in that regard?
Yes. So because of what the federal administration and Trump are doing with FEMA, NOAA, and National Weather Service, it is a time here in Harris County where we're continuing to double down and be extra prepared and extra nimble and ready to respond. We, the 4 precincts, we're the first responders in terms of, and I was so proud of my team. We were the first governmental jurisdiction on the ground, picking up debris, clearing roads. We set up distribution centers, gave out food, water, ice, and had cooling centers. Like, we are on the front lines of defense. So what we're doing to be even more prepared is continuing these community partnerships. For instance, I used to be a tax lawyer back in the day, and I used to help run a national nonprofit. So we have a 501c3, a public charity arm, as do several of my colleagues. And so using community partnerships so that we have reserves of ice, water, food. We have now backup generators so that we can activate cooling centers, right? We're stockpiling, so to speak, so that we're extra prepared. And the Texas Department of Emergency Management has been a great partner for the time that I have been in office, but it can take approximately 72 hours. And I want to make sure that we can respond as nimbly and promptly for our constituents. So we're working, and then we were working on not only immediate, how can we improve our immediate response, but then also longer term in terms of resilience, right? So that's everything from, we had successfully received the Solar for All grant, which is approximately $250 million from the Biden-Harris administration. Harris County led the way, and we worked with several other jurisdictions in Texas as a partnership to create alternative, solar energy for underserved neighborhoods. we just learned a little over a week ago that Trump has cut that program. So we will we will hopefully solve it in court. But in the meantime, that is one thing. But in the meantime, working with flood control to build back nature-based infrastructure, and so native seed mixes, grasses. So my team and I, we're on First for Infrastructure projects. So we're putting them through this Envision framework. To make sure that resiliency is top of mind as we deliver infrastructure projects. So there's things in the short, mid, and long term, but Harris County, we will continue to double down. I pray that
we don't need it.
I pray we don't need it. I never leave my house without this cross string. I'm a person of faith. I literally pray every day that we do not get a hurricane or any other disaster. But when we do, we will be your first responders and we will show up.
What I'm hearing when you're talking is it's kind of almost where we were as the country with DOGE, is that the majority of people agreed government was bloated and it needed to be looked at and cut a lot of things. But what the problem seemed to be with DOGE was it was just cutting without looking at anything. And what I'm hearing from you is it's taking that scalpel and deep dive and actually looking at the things that work and don't work, things that we're overpaying for or underpaying for performance, all of that. And in doing that, do you believe, at least at this point, there is enough to balance out this budget and do that increase? Can we be better stewards of the money and actually hit our goal? Because one thing I always argue on this show is I worry we have gotten too big to support our organizations anymore when it comes to government.
The short answer in response to your question
to the long question.
Is yes. I mean, I grew up check to check. I take this so seriously. I never, ever thought I'd work in government, to be honest. If you want to hear that story, that's a whole other story. It might entertain your viewers. But truly, I never thought I'd work in government. And everybody from whatever part of the political spectrum just want the government to work. And there's so much disillusionment and distrust. And to me, as long as the people give me the chance to serve them, I will show up. I will do the hard work, and I will be a steward to the best of my ability.
So for the most part, you believe the money is there. We
yes.
Just have to figure out how to use it correctly.
There's another example. And I get so fired up about this because it's like, I feel, I think of my little girls and they love doing these like treasure hunts, right? It's like literally going line by line. There's departments that have had historic surpluses year after year after year, millions, some of them. And this is right-sizing the budget, right? It is about being strategic stewards to make smart investments, to do more with less. And so it's not draconian and it is not haphazard. It is very thoughtful, very deliberate as far as, my team is concerned. And we will get to a balanced budget, period, because we're relentless and I will have it no other way and we will move forward. And meanwhile, we'll continue to make progress on some of these big cost drivers like the jail outsourcing and indigent defense. And we're doing the hard work to address those issues head on.
Everyone always talks about Republicans being conservative fiscally. And Democrats being socially forward. I know you've been very supportive of the LGBTQ community. Yes. Thank you for that. Appreciate that.
Always.
But you sound very much like a Republican when it comes to conservative fiscal ideas. But you consider yourself a Democrat.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, but I like that. I like that people want to watch the budget.
Yeah. I'm a proud lifelong Democrat. But to me, governing is not about partisan politics. Governing is about delivering progress and delivering results, period. And to go back to the LGBTQIA+, I'm a very proud lifelong ally, always have been, always will be, and I'm so thrilled that we have our commission for the first time in Harris County. And it's a both and in mind. You can be a steward of taxpayer resources and make sure you're championing, working class families and fairness and opportunity. It's not an either or. And so, yes, I take every taxpayer dollar, and someone who's, again, grew up check to check, I take this very seriously because affordability is something I hear about from my constituents all the time.
Speaking of looking forward,
yes,
there's going to be an election coming up, and we've already seen a lot of folks jumping into the race to be the next Harris County judge. Thoughts on the race, the candidates that are out there, any that you support? Where do you lie right now in this?
I will not be getting involved in that race. I will be very focused on my race, and I know the people of Harris County will pick the person who best aligns with their values.
Are you at all interested in being the Harris County judge?
No. I love being commissioner. We are on the front lines of whether it's our community centers, our parks, filling potholes, cleaning ditches. Like, we have so many direct services to constituents. And I have a team of approximately 500 hardworking public servants, and I love every day to show that government can work.
Do you feel it's time for a change in leadership? Do you feel maybe a new direction would be good for our county?
I really don't want to comment on her or any
I'm not
other
asking
elected
about her.
officials,
I'm
but
asking in general.
to me, we need people who will deliver and who are there to do the hard work day in and day out. And so I hope everyone will continue to lean into what I believe government should be, right? Government should be a partner. It should be a convener. It should be a collaborator. It shouldn't be a barrier. It should be a way to make life easier. And it is a way where we have to be, again, good stewards and good fiduciaries. So I don't think this to me is an R versus D issue. We should all want to be good stewards of our earth, of our, natural resources. I mean, to me, maybe it's being a mom, I think, ultimately, right? It's like, what are we leaving behind for our kids and grandkids? And so I want them to have a balanced budget, just as I want them to have, I pray, not these, continued effects of climate change, right?
As we get closer to the race, do you expect to endorse a candidate, or will you stay out of it all the way till the end?
For the county judge race?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I will not be getting involved at all.
Well, you're very refreshing. It's nice to talk to you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Harris County Precinct 4 County Commissioner Lesley Briones. Commissioner Briones, again, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Come back.
Coming up on Hello Houston.
I'm serious.
The 2025 National Battle of the Bands is back in Houston, bringing all the culture, sound, and celebration. This is News 88.7.
Federal funding for public media has been cut. In response, we're creating Houston Public Media's Resiliency Fund. Donations made toward the fund will directly counter the loss of the $2.2 million in federal funds that were cut annually and strengthen our station's foundation to provide our services into the future. Contributing to this fund is easy and quick and makes all the difference to our station. Help build the Resiliency Fund now at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate.
News 88.7. Houston Public Media is investing in education, keeping a pulse on art and culture in the city, and embracing our community with diverse programs. Stay informed and inspired wherever you are, whenever you want it. Houston Public Media is Houston's Public Media. Learn more at houstonpublicmedia.org.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from attorney mediator Ron Bankston, providing in-person, video conferencing, and hybrid mediation and arbitration services. More information is available at ronbankston.com.
Support comes from Visit Galveston, an island-style retreat where visitors can experience historic architecture, museums, boutique shops, and more at this family seaside escape. More at visitgalveston.com.
Support comes from the extended campus at UT Austin, whose continuing and professional education programs, including online degrees and certificates, prepare today's leaders for tomorrow's demanding careers. More at extendedcampus.utexas.edu.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from the Holdsworth Center, a nonprofit committed to helping Texas public schools grow strong leaders, accepting nominations for teachers in the Houston area to attend a Texas Hill Country Wellness Retreat at teacherretreat.org.
Support comes from the Houston Museum of Natural Science, presenting Audubon's Birds of America, showcasing life-size, vibrantly colored renderings of more than 400 American birds, including some now extinct. Closing September 1st. Details and tickets at hmns.org.
And now back to Hello Houston. Call now, 713-440-8870, or email us at talk@hellohouston.org to get your comment in on today's topics. Here's Ernie Manous, Celeste Diaz-Sherman, and Frank Billingsley.
The National Battle of the Bands is a celebration of the important contribution of historically black colleges and universities, HBCUs, to music, culture, and leadership. This Saturday, August 23rd, the renowned Texas Southern University Marching Band, the Ocean of Soul, known for their powerful sound, intricate choreography, and rich legacy, will join 7 other elite HBCU marching bands at the 2025 Pepsi National Battle of the Bands at NRG Stadium. Joining us now to tell us more about this year's National Battle is Derek Weber, executive producer of the National Battle of the Bands, and TSU band director Brian Simmons. Derek, Brian, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank
and
you for
for
having us.
folks who want to
Thank you for
join into the
having us.
conversation, please give us a call, 713-440-8870. It is so funny. I did not grow up in band at all, but I tell you, at some point I got caught up in marching bands and band competitions, and they are just thrilling. What is it that draws people in?
Well, I'm going to be honest. I got drawn in just like you did. So I don't know how to play an instrument. I've never been in a band. Yeah, I play basketball. But I mean, I think it's a cultural thing. Sure. My dad introduced me to the band world. He attended North Carolina A&T State University, class of 61. And so ever since I was a little kid, I was just drawn to the band, the energy, the passion that they bring to the field,
the intricacy of what they do.
Yes.
Oh, and then
the pageantry,
the amount of work
word.
that they put into it. It's amazing. So I've been hooked since I was a little kid, but don't know how to play an instrument, not one bit.
Brian, I would have to say probably the hardest part for you folks is the fact that it doesn't look like hard work. When they get out on the field, it's so fluid. You think, wow, how did they all just figure that out? Yeah. They don't all just figure that out. You guys do a lot of work to get there.
And that's kind of like to your previous question when you were asking like what draws people in. It's the passion of music and the pageantry. It's like watching a movie on Broadway and everything all like right in front of your face. Mm-hmm. So the amount of hard work that goes in there, the actual writing of the sheet music, the actual rehearsal of the sheet music. Hey, kid, you playing the wrong note.
I never even thought of the orchestration of it all.
So we
and
have
the choreography.
Right, that
one
comes
to
to mind for me, but I never thought
You have to learn the
about
music separately. Then you have to learn the choreography separately. Then you have to put the music and the choreography together, and that's a whole process. So, like, for this event, we have been working for 3 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. Like up until this point, 3 weeks.
So does the band director put all of that together, or is it a collaborative effort? How does that come about?
So the band staff most band staffs are just broken down into different positions. So you have the director of bands. A director of bands has had some experience on a level, has served as an assistant or associate. You have an associate director who may help with choreography, may help with a drill. You may have an assistant arranger who may write some music. So all of us are musicians. We're all a collective of musicians and creative, and we collaborate on the overall product every week.
And how do you decide this is it? Practice.
Feel it.
Yes, most definitely. Like there's a lot of times I bring things to the table. There's a lot of times the staff bring things to the table. There's a lot of times the student bring things to the table, and it's a feeling. It's magic. Like sometimes the students bring something to me that I have no idea what it is, and I like to consider myself a cultural guru in some sense. But they'll bring something to me that I've never heard of, and I'm like,
I love the phrase, it's magic.
Yeah, and they do it, and they show me whatever their idea is, and it moves me. And I'm like, that's it. I can't tell you what it is, but that's it. And
you know when a rose smells like a rose.
Yes, sir.
I get it. So you got to put all these people together?
Yeah, I mean, so really we're honored and privileged to be able to do this. And if it wasn't for our corporate partners and Pepsi and the Walmarts of the world and J.P. Morgan Chase, this wouldn't be possible. But we have 2,300 band students coming in market. We have 85 charter buses. We have 7 different hotel properties. We have 16,000 meals that we're going to feed the students over the weekend. And we want it to be a great experience for the students. So we have them staying at the Houston Galleria hotel properties. And really, we just want to roll out the Southern hospitality. Yeah. Right. And so we got 2 bands that are flying in, and so all expense paid trip that we provide to the universities, and then each school walks away with $50,000 in scholarships to support music, arts, and education.
Okay, so it's called a battle.
Yes.
But they all sound like winners.
They are all winners. It's more of a showcase,
Okay.
but everyone is always attracted to the battle, right?
Yes,
right?
Yeah, because we know Ocean Soul will just win any battle there.
Yes,
of course.
It's a battle / exhibition with some bragging rights. You know?
Yeah.
You know, even though there's not an official winner, even though everybody leaves with the prize, you know, you leave knowing that you know what happened in here. Yeah. You don't have to hold that, you know, until the next one. So yes, we're looking forward to just the competition. There's some people who we only get to see at this event. Mm-hmm. There's some people that we don't get to play because they're not in conference with us. So every year at National Battle of the Bands, it's you and me.
Yeah.
And we keep up the score, so I'm excited about that.
And when we think of Texas Southern University Marching Band, I'm seeing on your lapel, your shirt, the Ocean of Soul.
Yes, ma'am.
What does that mean? And elaborate on that for you all as a band.
Well, when we want to talk about just soul, it's the feeling of music. No matter what type of music you listen to, no matter what's your favorite genre, no matter what's your favorite artist, that connection is the soul. That's what pulls us in. And the ocean, let's talk about planet Earth, When we talk about water mass versus land mass, the world is more water than anything. It's an ocean of soul. It's an ocean of music. It's an ocean of feelings. It's an ocean of passion. It's an ocean of pageantry. That's what we represent.
We know that a lot of places, there are a lot of marching bands out there. Very few have the name recognition that Ocean of Soul has. People know of you folks.
Yes, sir.
Why do you think that is? What do you bring so different that all these other, which I'm sure they're all striving to do too, how come you guys hit the mark so often?
It's in the name. Some bands look good, some bands sound good, some bands look and sound good, but very few bands touch your spirit. Very few bands touch your soul, whether it's you sitting down and you experiencing the music. We go viral every year just on the music. Sometimes it's not about the routines that we do. Sometimes it's not about the choreography. Sometimes it's about people just actually sitting down and experiencing that and taking that away from us. I can't tell you why we leave people with something. I can't tell you why they think we're so special, but it's within us.
Is there a favorite place that you all go? I know you play a lot around the country. And obviously what we're talking about today is probably a favorite, but from Mardi Gras to Thanksgiving parades, what really gets you going?
I'm voting on Thanksgiving Day parades.
For me personally, it would definitely be Mardi Gras. Really? It would definitely be Mardi Gras because you're a marching concert. That's it. You're a marching concert. Everybody's just sitting there. They don't know what you're about to play. They don't know what's about to be felt. And you play their favorite song, and everybody's looking at each other, and they're looking at each other. They're singing the song.
And it is more intimate. I mean, they're right there. They're not
right
up
there.
in the stadium.
As I'm marching down the street, there's people talking to us. They're like, "We love you guys. We saw you guys on TV. You're our favorite." Yes, Mardi Gras definitely.
And so, Derek, bringing this event together, how do you look at the different bands? How does a band make it to Battle of the Bands?
Great question. And really, it's a matter of we want to select bands that are draws. We want to select bands that don't have an opportunity to come showcase on a major at a major venue like the NRG. And then we also want to showcase up and coming bands and smaller bands. So we don't want to just showcase all the big bands. We also want to give some of the smaller universities an opportunity as well to showcase their skills on this platform. And so it's a combination of all of those items, and it's also relationships. So we want to work with universities that really support the music and arts, and then we want to contribute to them. And so that's the whole really the whole foundation of what we do.
We're discussing this year's National Battle of the Bands with Derek Weber, executive producer of the National Battle of the Bands, and TSU band director Brian Simmons. If you'd like to join the conversation, give us a call, 713-440-8870. Derek, I want to give you the same question that I gave to Brian, but as an observer and watcher of these events, what do you think Ocean of Soul brings uniquely to the field? Not to pick favorites, but you're judging all of these bands. What is it about them that makes them special, do you think?
Well, it's just it's the hometown favorite. It's what
that
they
doesn't hurt.
I mean, and it's what they bring to the table. And like Brian mentioned, and I have an affinity for Texas Southern. My uncle, Dr. John Biggers, and Aunt Hazel, they started the Texas Southern Art Department. So I've been on Texas Southern campus since I was a little kid. And so it's hard to take that away from me. And I have a passion of working with Texas Southern and Brian and all the great things that they're doing. And he's done a great job since he's been on board. And so, I mean, that's the relationship. Right. And that's why we like to highlight certain universities like Texas Southern or what they're doing and what they're going to continue to do.
So what are some of the big draws and who's up and coming?
Well, I would say we have a lot of big draws, right? I think a couple of years ago when Brian took over the program, they were around 180, 200. Now they're coming in 280. We have Florida A&M University coming in at 320. Jackson State University is coming in at 350 members.
Wow.
Langston University, when they first started coming to this program, they only had like 160 members. Now they're coming in at 305. And so really this program helps create a platform to raise and elevate these universities for scholarships, for youth who want to get more opportunities to play in music, arts, and education, and really to be a part of this type of event. So the energy is crazy.
And scholarships are there, that's for
sure.
Yes.
And we do have a call on the line. Torrance in Southeast Houston. Torrance, welcome. Actually, Torrance just dropped, but I did.
That went quick.
I did want to ask you, this is an event for historically Black colleges and universities. What does it mean to be able to do this for these universities?
For us, it's a passion point, and it's really an opportunity for us to help contribute and give back. This year, we're approaching $2.2 million in scholarship giving over the last 11 years with this program. We started off only contributing $5,000 the first year.
Wow.
And now we're up to $50,000 per school. And so for us, it's a passion. Yeah. And it's really... I'm in awe, just like everybody else, and to watch Brian and Texas Southern and the other bands and Perry View and FAMU perform at such a high level, and the commitment that they put towards this. Yeah. I mean, you're looking at 2-a-days. How many hours did they put in, early to late in the evening?
Coming off your summer early.
Yeah.
That's right.
School just to practice for this.
You talk about the number of folks involved in this, and I then wonder for you, for your position, what's the hardest thing to do to pull this all together? Is it logistics? Is it travel? Is it the artistic directing of who's there? What part's most difficult for you?
I think the most difficult part for us is to continue to get corporations and the community to support what we're doing. Yeah. And I think it's important what we do and how we do it. I think we do it at a very high level. So for us, the transportation and the hotels and the feeding and the creative side, we do not touch that not one bit. Right. And so,
but you are curating it.
Yeah.
Yes, so you're looking at all.
Yes.
That.
So, but we just want to keep it pure. We want to keep it where it needs to be. But for us, it's to continue to have the community support this event. Go buy the tickets. The tickets go back to scholarships. $35, $25, and $35 tickets. So it's family friendly.
For people to find out that information, what's the web address?
NationalBattleOfTheBands.com.
NationalBattleOfTheBands.com. And Torrance is back. Torrance in Southeast Houston is on the line. Torrance, welcome to Hello Houston. What is your comment or question?
Yes, I just appreciate this program, and I thank you guys for having Brian on. I just love the marching band. I grew up in the marching band in junior high school and high school, and I went on to play in Ocean Soul in 1980. I just love the competition and the rivalry that, it's just a bunch of love that we have for each university, all the schools that are together. We sometimes, like Brian said, we don't often see certain schools during the season, but with the Battle of Bands, it gives us a chance to meet them and challenge, and, it's a lot of fun, and, it's just a beautiful sight to see, and it's just a concert, just almost right out of heaven.
I can hear the passion in his voice.
Yes.
Torrance,
Thank you, Mr. Torrance.
Thanks for calling us back.
Thank you.
So how many people do you think will be showing up to NRG on Saturday?
Yeah, we're expecting in the low 40s, 40,000. And
that'll fill it.
Yeah. Well, not enough, but we're blessed for what we have.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, so we've been pretty consistent since we've been here in Houston, and Houston's been a great market for us. Yeah. And what
are the hours?
The hours are 4:30 is the start time on Saturday. But we have an emerging experience at the Deluxe Theater on Friday that we highlight entrepreneurs and provide resources for them. We feed the homeless in 8 markets and plus Houston on Saturday morning. We have a college fair. We have over 45 HBCUs that will be on site, waiving administration fees and providing scholarships on site.
Where
Wow.
can people find more information? Because that is so important, and
Yes.
college is so expensive nowadays.
Yes, nationalbattleofthebands.com.
And it'll have all of that information.
Yes, absolutely.
I wanna-
And then we kick it off with the Battle of the Bands event.
And the headliner.
Yeah,
right?
and watch Brian and his crew blow the roof off the top.
I want to say you can watch this on TV. You can see it in theaters. There's nothing like being in the room
It's
where it
nothing like
happens.
it.
The feeling of that music hitting your body.
Yes.
The boom. I just love it. You can't get it's a high you can't get anywhere else.
Yes,
Guys, thank you for coming.
Derek Weber is
Thank
the
you.
executive producer of the National Battle of the Bands. Brian Simmons is the TSU band director. Thank you both for joining us today on Hello Houston.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Coming up on Hello Houston, we'll continue diving into the top stories of the day. Stay with us for the second hour of Hello Houston.
Stay tuned. There's more Hello Houston on the way with Ernie Manous, Celeste Diaz-Sherman, and Frank Billingsley. For the latest in local news, subscribe to the Hello Houston daily newsletter at houstonpublicmedia.org. Hello Houston is a production of Houston Public Media. The opinions expressed by the guests of this program are solely their own and do not represent the views of management, staff, or underwriters of Houston Public Media. This is News 88.7.
Support comes from Asia Society Texas, featuring an introduction to ramen and a tasting event exploring the history and intricacies of tonkatsu ramen on August 21st. Tickets at asiasociety.org/Texas.
Support comes from Children's Museum of Houston, presenting Faithful Friends, an exhibit fostering connection, curiosity, understanding, and friendship. Families explore other cultures through the eyes of Houston kids. More at cmhouston.org.
91 degrees at the University of Houston. I'm Tiffany Taylor. Partly cloudy here with highs in the low 90s and a 30% chance of thunderstorms throughout this afternoon. Looking at lows tonight in the upper 70s. This is your NPR station, KUHF Houston, News 88.7, a service of the University of Houston. It's 12 o'clock.
Just ahead on this hour of Hello Houston, we'll speak with State Representative Penny Morales-Shaw, one of the 8 Texas House Democrats who joined together to rip the slip. I'm Ernie Manous.
And I'm Celeste Diaz-Sherman. We'll also talk with Houston Public Media reporter Bianca Seward about Senate Bill 10 and the effort to get 10 Commandment posters in Texas classrooms.
I'm Frank Billingsley, plus Craig Marianno, a professor at Texas A&M University's Nuclear Engineering Department, will tell us about an anti-poaching program to help safeguard rhinos in Africa.
And we want to hear from you, so give us a call or send us a text at 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. You can also watch us on YouTube by going to houstonpublicmedia.org and clicking the big orange banner.
Hello Houston continues right after the news from NPR and News 88.7.
Hello Houston is made possible in part by founding sponsors John Bradshaw and Kathy Sanders, and by gifts from listeners like you.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Lakshmi Singh. Defense officials from several countries, including Britain, are meeting at the Pentagon today. NPR's Lauren Frayer says the focus will be on Ukraine and ways to help Kyiv if Russia and Ukraine reach a peace agreement.
The UK and France are preparing to send peacekeepers to Ukraine in the event of a ceasefire. They call it a reassurance force. UK officials have said they'll help police Ukraine's skies and seas, but will not deploy British troops to the front line with Russia. The head of the UK's armed forces, Tony Radakin, is attending these Pentagon meetings. Among the details to be worked out is the possibility of a no-fly zone, and whether European peacekeepers will be able to use US military bases in Europe as staging areas. About 30 countries have said they'll participate in a coalition of the willing, and about 10 have said they'll send troops. Lauren Frayer, NPR News, Edinburgh.
Federal public health employees in the U.S. are asking Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to stop spreading inaccurate information and to support his staff in the wake of a deadly attack earlier this month at the CDC. NPR's Ping Wong reports on the letter addressed to Kennedy and members of Congress.
On August 8th, a gunman fired hundreds of rounds at the CDC in Atlanta while hundreds of employees sheltered in place. Authorities say he was motivated by his discontent with COVID vaccines. Dr. Fiona Havers, a former CDC official who left in June, says employees are angry and traumatized.
It's really critical that the scale of this event is recognized and that
people that work in public health and public health in general are given much more support than they're being given right now.
After the attack, Kennedy toured the CDC and posted his support for workers on social media, but many say he could do more. Over 750 current and former federal health workers signed the letter, which called for Kennedy to stand up for the CDC science and stop endangering the nation's health. Ping Huang, NPR News.
In North Carolina, Governor Josh Stein has declared a state of emergency, with Hurricane Aaron forecast to bring storm surges and dangerous wind gusts to the state. Bradley George of member station WUNC reports at last check, Aaron was about 365 miles southeast of Cape Hatteras, with top sustained winds of 110 miles per hour.
August is usually a busy time on North Carolina's Outer Banks, but residents and tourists were ordered to leave Hatteras and Ocracoke Islands. Governor Stein says people who live elsewhere on the coast should be prepared to evacuate. Shelters have opened on the mainland. Aaron would be the worst storm to affect the Outer Banks since 2019. That's when Hurricane Dorian swamped Ocracoke Island with 7 feet of water. For NPR News, I'm Bradley George in Chapel Hill.
From Washington, this is NPR News.
Live from News 88.7 in Houston, I'm Tom Perumian. This morning, United States District Judge Frederick Bierri in San Antonio issued a preliminary injunction against the 10 Commandments, stopping them from being rolled out in 11 school districts across Texas. Judge Bierri ruled the law violates the First Amendment. 3 school districts in and near the cities of Houston, Cypress Fairbanks, and Fort Bend are now stopped from rolling out the 10 Commandment posters on September 1st, as the law had required. The ACLU and 15 others successfully argued that, quote, children's religious beliefs should be instilled by their parents and faith communities, not politicians and public schools. In his ruling, Judge Bierri wrote that the law, quote, crosses the line from exposure to coercion. Fort Bend County residents have pushed for a toll road route that would loop north of Fairchilds. They are concerned that they could be displaced. However, the county's toll road authority voted to reject that route Monday night. Board members say the route could cost about $40 million more than other proposed paths. Jim Rice is chairman of the Fort Bend County Toll Road Authority.
Not everyone will be happy with that decision, but sometimes you have to make a decision in order to move forward, and that's what the board did tonight.
Residents say they'll continue to advocate for a different path for the toll road. Checking sports, coming up in minutes, the Astros and Tigers from Detroit in their final meeting. Astros lead the AL West by a thin 1.5 games ahead of Seattle in the AL West. And checking your weather, sunny with a chance for afternoon showers and thunderstorms, a heat index of 104, a high of 98. Tonight, a 40% chance of overnight showers and thunderstorms with a low of 78. Right now, partly cloudy, 91 degrees on the UH campus. I'm Tom Perumian, News 88.7.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Progressive Insurance, where drivers can compare direct rates using Progressive's rate comparison tool. Customers can see options and rates side by side. More at progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE.
From Houston Public Media and News 88.7, it's Hello Houston, an open forum on today's biggest stories affecting Houston and beyond. Call now, 713-440-8870, or let us know your thoughts on today's topics by emailing us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now, Hello Houston with Ernie Manous, Celeste Diaz-Sherman, and Frank Billingsley.
And we are back again on this Wednesday afternoon, hitting the noon hour. Celeste, the date is?
August 20th.
August 20th, a day of a lot going on. We are monitoring a lot of stuff. We'll be talking this hour about 10 Commandments going into our schools. That's happening theoretically on September 1st. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about radioactive rhinos, and that's going to be an interesting twist on a story. But what really is an interesting story that's going on right now is what's happening on the Texas legislative floor. Do we want to hear a little of what is happening in this moment?
Equal treatment.
So, Representative Hunter, thank you for laying out that. But what you didn't lay out, and I hope you will let me finish responding or answering my question, on July 24th, there was a public hearing in Austin, correct?
I believe so, yeah.
On July 26th, there was a public hearing in Houston, correct?
That's Saturday, yes.
And on July 28th, there was a hearing in Arlington, Texas, correct?
What we were giving you just a little taste of
when did
is
the maps drop?
a number of our Texas legislators are asking Todd Hunter from Corpus Christi, he's the bill of the author, Texas Representative Todd Hunter, about the redistricting bill he has proposed, HB 4, which is the new maps that we have been talking about for quite a bit now. There have been a lot of questions asked. It has been taking up a good deal of time. They wanted to extend the questioning. That was voted down, but they're going to continue to do that. But that leads us into the headlines of today and our first story.
Yes, yesterday afternoon, in a show of unity and defiance against being monitored by officers, 8 Texas House Democratic members gathered to rip the slip, publicly tearing up the permission slips required to leave the chamber by the Speaker of the Texas House. These slips were issued to all members who broke quorum and left the state of Texas earlier this month to stop work on the passage of the new redistricting maps, the ones that we've just heard right now. They then joined Representative Nicole Collier to stay in chambers and remain on the House floor overnight, awaiting today's gaveling in of the Texas House session. On the agenda when the House reconvenes, voting on the Republican proposed redistricting maps, Rep. Collier remained on the House floor since refusing to sign her permission slip, refusing to be escorted and monitored by DPS law enforcement officers to ensure she did not again leave the state. Her stand against this monitoring has captured the attention of many members of the Democratic Party, the state, and even the nation. Joining us now via the phone from the State House in Austin is one of those Democratic representatives who ripped her slip, State Representative Penny Morales Shaw, who represents Texas House District 148, located in northwestern parts of Houston, including Greenspoint and Jersey Village. Representative Morales Shaw, thank you for joining us today on Hello Houston.
Glad to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm just outside of the chamber on the phone with you.
If folks would like to join the conversation, we're taking calls and texts at 713-440-8870. Representative, we've been monitoring what's going on in the chambers so far. What can you tell us into what is the direction we're going by having these questions? Is there a goal in mind, or is the inevitable just set to happen?
Both. Both, Ernie. I'm sorry to have to say that. Bleak truth, but the Republicans do have the majority. This is their agenda. This is their priority item. I want to first point out that we were here for 2 weeks during special session 1 consistently, and flood relief was not addressed. And our point was it's not the priority. It's being used as a cover. Now we're back for special session 2. The first and only priority on the schedule for today is this redistricting bill. Yes, they will pass it unless something unexpected happens, but we don't foresee that. So they do have the majority. Right now, what's happening is that the author of the bill is being questioned because this bill, as soon as it's passed, it will be litigated in court. It will be challenged. And we're hoping that there will be that legal challenge. And if there is an appeal, it will also be appealed. And all of this will be done prior to the next election so that we can hopefully overturn these maps. And as you know, it's unsettled law. But that's the point of the questioning right now, is to establish the record, intentions behind it, purposes, and try to establish constitutional reasons why this should be overturned, and based on the Voting Rights Act.
So for folks who are watching and think it's just political theater at this point, it actually does have a purpose, and it needs to be on record these questions are asked.
Yes, and our legal experts said the sooner these can get to the court, the better, because then they'll have time to fully litigate it and hopefully come out with a successful outcome, just like they did with other bills like the 10 Commandments in the classroom, book bans, and other legislation that passed but then was immediately challenged.
Representative Morales-Shaw, question, did you have to get special permission to walk out to take this interview?
No, because I'm still technically in the chamber. I'm just like in a back hallway, but I cannot leave. I can't go outside to take this call because we were told that there's still a call on the House, and what that means for the public is that we are still basically in custody and in arrest in the chamber. We're not allowed to leave, right? Because they intend to keep the quorum and keep us here so that they can take their vote.
Mm-hmm. Ms. Shaw, I'm curious. This is Frank Billingsley. So, I know that you went to Chicago and walked out and were making, I guess, a moment and a statement. But if you knew that ultimately this would go through and be solved one way or another in the courts, why didn't you just go there first?
Thank you for asking the question. Well, for one thing, let me, just for the record, I wasn't in Illinois, but I was out of state. So I was part of the body that was not here to help them make quorum. By my absence, I wasn't here. But the reason that many Democrats left and the majority of Democrats that went to Illinois, the purpose was to really, this was being rushed through. We had been here for 2 weeks, and there had already been 10 hearings on the redistricting, and we knew that the whole intention was just to ram it through as quickly as it could be rammed through. And we wanted the majority, the leadership decided people need to know, they need to be aware of what's about to happen, and other states need to be aware that if Texas goes down, we're not going to be the last ones to go down. There's going to be others. And they achieved that goal. That goal was achieved because, as you saw, there were many meetings across the United States with different states explaining to them the very harsh impact that this would have and the unjustified basis for it for a mid-decade redistricting, because we just did one 4 years ago, and we don't have a new census, we don't have new data, and for those reasons, it's unfounded.
We are speaking with Representative Morales-Shaw. If you have a question for her, you can give us a call, 713-440-8870. Before we go to calls, I just want to go back to yesterday afternoon. I was watching as this unfolded online of the Rip the Slip. And as Celeste said in setting this up, Nicole Collier had already opted to stay in chambers, and then a group of you decided to join her. Tell me a little bit about this movement.
Yes. Well, when the body was back here voluntarily on Monday to resume business and hopefully take up the Kerr County flood emergency disaster response bills first, we were basically told, we were put in mass arrest, essentially. As soon as we were all here and they took roll, the speaker directed the sergeant at arms to lock the doors and not let any of us leave, and that the only way we could leave was to go into another room and basically be booked and sign a slip saying that we would be under the custody of DPS, the Department of Public Safety. And we didn't think we had any other choice. And so we all lined up. We did it. And Nicole, that's when she said, I'm not doing it. And we didn't really know until we were escorted out of the building that she was still in here. And so when I started reading the threads and seeing the coverage, I'm like, you know what? Nicole was right. We didn't have to do this, and nor should we, because so our objective, to answer your question directly, was to correct course. Mm-hmm. We still had time to correct course because this is lawless and baseless. There is no constitutional basis or rule basis for it being done, for those kind of punitive means to be imposed on statesmen and stateswomen. But if we abide by it, if we submit to it, then we are thereby setting a very low and bad precedent for all future legislators. And by Nicole's action, Nicole Collier, it dawned on me that we weren't doing anything good. We were validating their narrative that we were derelict and doing something wrong, when in fact we were exercising a constitutional procedural right that's been here since 1870 and has been exercised by the minority party when there's majority overreach. And so I started calling members and saying, this is not good. We need to get back and we need to be with Nicole, and we need to course correct everybody who wants to or who can And I think all members knew that this was wrong and it was unfair and it was unlawful. And those of us who could came back and stayed here throughout the night with Nicole and until we gavelled in this morning.
So then what happens tonight, tomorrow night, the rest of the session? Are you folks moving in?
It depends. Yeah, it would literally be the House of Representatives, house arrest. We don't know because we believe that if they pass this law, which is the governor's priority to do it, he has promised to call as many special sessions as needed to get this done for the president. Then if they get it done, we believe they will take the call off the House. In other words, they won't care about us anymore, nor our whereabouts. As I've said before, it just requires a certain number of warm bodies in the chamber to make quorum for the majority to conduct the business that is their priority.
You're listening to Hello Houston. Joining us now via phone from the State House in Austin is Representative Morales Shaw. You can join the conversation at 713-440-8870. Jake from Kingwood is on the line. Jake, welcome to Hello Houston. What is your comment or question for Representative Morales Shaw?
Hi, thanks for having me, and thank you, Representative Morales Shaw, for going through the sort of rigmarole. I know that everybody's focused on the redistricting, but I wanted to sort of shift to SB 10. I don't know if you've had a chance to read the full text of the ruling from Judge Beery this morning, but it seems like they granted the temporary injunction, but I wanted to see your thoughts on how durable you think that is, or if you think this is just going to end up with another rewrite from the Texas Ledge to sort of force the 10 Commandments into the classroom. Obviously, it's something that a lot of people have been following.
Thank you for the question, Jake. Theoretically, the law is in play, but of course, we know that with the court situation pending, we're hoping that there's still a viable chance that the court will look at this and say it's a violation of separation of church and state.
This whole process we're watching, I wonder, are you concerned that this becomes the new normal moving forward when it comes to politics? Redoing of maps, breaking of quorums, House arrests. Are we entering into uncharted territory that we probably should correct this course before it goes too far?
That was a very key decision-making element when we decided to come back and stay, because that's exactly what we want to avoid, is that we are setting the standard that if members of the legislature exercise their constitutional right to deny quorum to the majority party, that they are not subjected to whimsical, unlawful, something that you thought of late last night in a circle of your majority friends. What can we do to make a show and make it to where they won't do this again? Now, they already did that to us in 2021 when we broke quorum for SB 1, the voter bill. And when we came back, as I like to say, as soon as we got back, we got a spanking. We got slapped with $500 a day fines. We were told we couldn't get our paychecks. They would cut our budget, and therefore we'd have to relieve staff. It was all sorts of things that we were punished by. And this is a new low because that didn't prevent this quorum break, which they had hoped it would. So this is a new low. When they get back, let's, lock all the chamber doors, which they can do, but they cannot put us under custody if we haven't done anything wrong. And that was the signing the slip and being released to a DPS officer to be able to go anywhere.
Representative Morales Shaw, what has the reception been from your colleagues since you have returned?
It's frigid, and
Sure.
I think you mean the majority party.
Yes.
It's frigid. It's they're not happy with us for taking a stand. Or for just not being here, because some of us did have legitimate reasons for not being here. It's frigid, it's cold, but I am a lawyer of 25 years, and I know that you go in the courtroom and fight, and if you come out, you're still dealing with humans. So I'm still cordial and respectful, but I also won't dilute my values.
Take me back just for a second, too. My understanding from where I sit, which is not nearly as informed as where you are, that it was really part of your return had to do with making sure California wasn't just talking, but was actually going to do the actions to move forward on their map, so that when Texas does approve this new map, we do have a counterbalance in another state to counter what we do here as a Texas state. Is that accurate?
Ernie, the Texas Legislature is watching California very carefully and staying in close touch with the governor there. And there are dates on the calendar that everyone's watching to make sure that the vote comes to the floor there and that those changes are made. So I can tell you that the leadership is watching that very closely, and they are staying in close touch with Governor Newsom.
What's your reaction when the governor of our state says something to the effect of, well, if they add 5, we'll add 10? That suddenly it seems like any of the ideas behind the reason for redistricting just quickly goes away and simply becomes a fact of we're doing what we can to just seize power.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate reality that has come to be. As you know, the legal argument for that is that there was a conflict between the 14th and 15th Amendment, that things can't be race-based, and the Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, which says that majority-minority districts can be established so that there's fair representation for all Texans. So I agree there is a valid conflict that's now come up and surfaced, but this is really all about, and Mitch Little said it with no shame. He said, we're doing this because we can, meaning we're doing this because we're the majority and we can do whatever we want.
I know you have a time you need to get back in there and get back to doing the work you're doing, and we're just about out of town. Will we expect to hear anything from you on the floor today?
Yes, I've already been at the back mic a couple of times. So, yes, I'll be back on the back mic again.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank
State
you.
Representative Penny Morales-Shaw, thank you for joining us today on Hello Houston.
Yes, y'all have a good day.
Thank you.
Coming up on Hello Houston, gearing up for the 10 Commandments being posted in our schools and the plight of radioactive rhinos. This is News 88.7. Stay with us. With federal funding cuts, Houston Public Media has lost $2.2 million annually. In response, we have launched the Resiliency Fund, an urgent initiative to protect the programs and services you rely on. That includes PBS Kids, that provides free educational programming to children and families across Greater Houston. Your support of the Resiliency Fund helps keep this vital service accessible to our community. Give now at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate.
Is a service of the University of Houston and is supported with your gifts to the Houston Public Media Foundation. More information available online at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate.
Donations come in many forms: a monthly membership, a one-time gift, and that extra vehicle you no longer need. We take any kind of vehicle in any condition. Learn more at houstonpublicmedia.org/cars. And thank you.
Support comes from LaPorte CPAs and Business Advisors, an independent accounting and business advisory firm serving clients for more than 75 years, with 190 employees across offices in Houston, New Orleans, and other locations. More information at laporte.com.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from Decamera. The 25-26 season features a Schubert Perspectives series, jazz with Branford Marsalis and Pat Metheny, and much more. Information and tickets at decamera.com.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from Certa Pro Painters, offering residential and commercial painting services, from color consultations to full project management. Estimates and more at certaapro.com.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on any of today's topics, call 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. Now back to Ernie Manous, Celeste Diaz-Sherman, and Frank Billingsley.
Fascinating to have a first-person account from the legislature while it's happening with our representative who is in the chambers. And not leaving anytime soon.
And giving us an update from inside. I mean, she literally said she had to go to a hallway. She couldn't leave the chamber, or else she would have had to ask.
She would have had to sign out, but she
sign
ripped
out.
her slip.
She ripped her slip.
I assume that once this vote is taken and the governor gets what he wants, then they will lift.
That's what she
that.
was saying.
Yeah.
They'll lift the order that puts them under arrest.
You
and
go
they can
home
come
now.
in. Yeah, now we don't care.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting, right? Because we did receive a call asking her specifically about Senate Bill 10. And right now, that is exactly what we're going to talk about. A new law set to take effect on September 1st is stirring debate across Texas. Senate Bill 10, signed earlier this summer by Governor Greg Abbott, will require every public school classroom in the state to display a framed or poster version of the 10 Commandments, at least 16 by 20 inches in size and featuring a specific unaltered script. Supporters say the 10 Commandments offer an essential moral foundation, while opponents, including 16 families bringing suit in federal court, argue this law crosses constitutional boundaries by promoting religion in public schools. A federal judge is expected to rule on whether SB 10 can be blocked before the law goes into effect on September 1st. And to help us to unpack the implications of this controversial new requirement, we're joined by Houston Public Media reporter Bianca Seward. Bianca, welcome to Hello Houston.
Hi, guys. Thank you for having me.
And if you would like to join the conversation, you can call or text 713-440-8870. Bianca, this new law is set to go into effect September 1st. And this morning, a federal district court blocked it. Who does this affect on the ground?
Yeah, after a couple of days of arguments and just 2 days after arguments wrapped on Monday, the judge had ruled that it violates the First Amendment. Now, this suit only covers 11 different school districts in the state. It does cover the districts that are closest to the biggest metropolitan areas. You're thinking districts outside of Dallas and Nova Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, and Houston. But it won't impact, or doesn't necessarily have to impact, any of the other nearly 1,000 districts in the state.
Can the other schools, though, the other districts wait and see how this gets resolved before they post, or are they legally it has to go up September 1st?
I think we're starting to see some ISDs deciding to kind of pause amid the legal battles and see what's happening and what might be the final word before September 1st. But they are required to follow the law, as other districts that I've talked to. And if they're not protected by the injunction, then they will have to roll out posters. They're not required to pay for them themselves, the teachers nor the school districts, but they are required to hang up any kind of donated posters, which is what we're seeing.
And what districts have you spoken to within our area?
Yeah, I've been able to touch base with Montgomery ISD and Magnolia ISD just to see, I heard that I had confirmed that they had received posters and what they were planning to do. And over the last couple of days since this just came down, most of them have decided to follow the law. That's what is required of them. They have to hang the posters. They've got the donated ones. So they were actively working on plans to make that happen.
But are there any instructions on where these have to be placed? Because the height of a first grader is much different than the height of an 11th grader.
Yeah, the law makes clear that they want it to be put in a conspicuous place in the classroom, somewhere very visible to others. So that is subjective depending on if it's a first grade classroom or someone in the sophomore year. But they are very specific, as Celeste had mentioned, 16 by 20. They want clear and legible font, large, for people to reasonably see it somewhere in the classroom.
And is that decided by the individual teacher, or is it the principal? Is it the school district that decides placement?
It's not clear who needs to decide placement. Every classroom is going to be outfitted differently. So I think the law gives a little bit of leeway for teachers to decide where it works best in their classroom. But they were clear that they wanted it in a conspicuous place, somewhere everybody can see it, and I guess absorb it.
If a teacher doesn't, I'm sorry,
Okay.
I'm so worried about where they're going to put these posters.
Yes.
If the teacher opts to put it someplace they feel is conspicuous, but maybe others don't, who's watching, judging this, and then is there fines? Is there a penalty for not doing it correctly? Is that in the bill?
Yeah, no, there's not a lot of enforcement on that front. There's not going to be fines for the teachers. There's not going to be that kind of secondary part. It's more they're donated. It's not giving a lot of burden to the teachers. They're donated posters. They're supposed to put them up somewhere that's in compliance of where a kid can see it. But no, there isn't. They're not on the hook to pay for them themselves, and so there's not a lot of. There's not a ton of recourse spelled out.
And it's interesting because I think a key component to this is that the posters have to be donated. So who is donating funds for these posters? Who is championing
Where
this
are they magically
movement?
coming from?
Right, where they're donated, but by who?
Yeah, the law makes it clear that since the teachers and school districts don't have to pay for them, they'll likely have to be donated. That's the easiest way or the clearest path to get these posters into the classrooms. And as I started kind of researching the various charities and Christian-based organizations across the state that were, delivering posters, posting to social media out in districts in Central Texas, districts outside of Dallas, I started noticing that it was the same poster. They were all navy blue with white font, identical posters across the state. So I started kind of clicking around to look at where they were getting them. These organizations are ushering prospective donors, to one website called Restore American Schools. And from what we can understand, it's a coalition of more than 20 conservative and Christian-based organizations that are, when I spoke to one, Texas Values, based out of Austin, it seemed like an easy and logical way to kind of get as many posters out to really make the impact as wide as possible across the state.
So some of these groups that you were talking about were Patriot Academy, Million Voices, Wall Builder, Restore American School. Who is funding these nonprofit organizations?
Yeah, it's a number of different organizations with different kind of people backing them. Restore American Schools appears to be completely donation-based. You go on, you adopt a classroom for $30, $1 a poster, and that is as clear as they've made it on how this is kind of working on that website. The other organizations, and they are a mix of nonprofit and profit, though largely nonprofit, they're from a number of different people. Wall Builders, run by David Barton, is one of the spearheaders. Million Voices is powering the website. And American Journey Experience, Glenn Beck's, an offshoot of Glenn Beck's nonprofit organization, Mercury One. So there's a lot of the same kind of conservative political influencers that we've seen before behind this effort as well.
This was championed as not a Christian move and it's not. I mean, the Ten Commandments are in the Torah. This is Judean law. This has nothing to do with Christianity, and except that a lot of Christian churches, I think, find moral ground on the Ten Commandments. So that leads me to ask, if it's not a Christian thing, supposedly, then can't a teacher put up a Muslim prayer or a Hindu prayer or maybe even just an atheist prayer? To a higher power or whatever. Is that going to be allowed?
I don't necessarily see that we're going to see that as a counter effect, because the law also provides cover for these classrooms. So if a classroom hangs up the Ten Commandments poster as they're supposed to on September 1st, if somebody decides to sue the classroom, the Attorney General Ken Paxton's office has said that they're going to cover those arguments. So these classrooms under the law are required to put the poster up and then also protected to have the poster hanging. So I don't know that they would enjoy the same kind of protections if they put other posters of other religious backings.
So Bianca, you mentioned Attorney General Ken Paxton. That just happened as we were walking in, you were telling us about that. I know it just happened. Can you give us a little bit about what is going on by the minute?
Yeah, as we kind of expected, the Attorney General's office has reported through the Associated Press that they're going to appeal the injunction, which I think makes sense. It's on behalf of, the state government that passed this law. So we'll have to see what happens on September 1st. We'll have to see kind of as this develops and what will actually take place.
To kind of jump on the tail end of what Frank was saying also, the legislature, when they passed this law, they didn't provide finances to do it. It's not supposed to be, if I understand the reading of it all, it's not because it is a Christian or Judeo-Christian law. It's because it's important and informed our government and how we created this nation. But by not providing funding for it or any expectation as to how these posters would get printed and delivered, what was the expectation? Who would they think would step in to do it? And doesn't that automatically then shift it to a religious movement as opposed to a non-religious issue?
I can't speak to who they expected to take up the cause, but I see your point that the law kind of created this opening for organizations to come in. And the state had long argued that these Ten Commandments provide historical context. Right. And even Restore American Schools, that website has no direct references to Christianity. It talks about the moral foundings, makes a lot of the same arguments that the state does, which is why I think us at Houston Public Media wanted to take a closer look at the organizations actually making it happen. And 17 of the 23 organizations listed there had explicit references in their mission to advancing Christian ideals or having Christian ideology influence policy on the state, local, and national level of government. So it's just important, I think, that people understand all the organizations behind the effort.
If nobody donated the posters, what happened?
We see an incredibly slow rollout of this. They're not on the hook to provide them, but I imagine some school districts might comply and take some money from their budget to to get the posters done. We don't really know. It could have been just a much slower rollout.
Like so often, there's legislation passed without all of the thoughts being put into the practicality of how you do it and what you're doing. And so you put this out, and without that kind of additional information in the bill, it makes you question, I would say, the motivation behind actually passing the legislation.
Well, I can't speak to their motivation, as it has been clear, has just been to provide that historical context, bring the 10 Commandments back into the classrooms. It is interesting that they didn't allocate any state funding for it. And so these organizations have kind of banded together to get it done. I did notice that one of the organizations in the list of partners, the chairman of that think tank is the state senator who authored the bill. So we're just trying to learn as much as possible.
And that is the Texas Conservative Coalition Research Institute is listed, like Bianca was saying, as a partner. And their chairman is State Senator Phil King, Republican of Weatherford, who did author this bill. Bianca, you mentioned a couple of the other school districts that you've been reaching out to. Have you reached out to Houston ISD, which is obviously one of the biggest school districts in our state?
Yeah, and a couple of weeks ago, I was at a press conference with Superintendent Mike Miles where we asked this question, and this was back before the injunction, the law was in place, and I asked him what was the plan for Houston ISD come September 1st, and what they have maintained is that they're going to follow the law. Mm-hmm. So as it was 2 weeks ago, they were preparing to get posters, as Mike Miles said at the press conference, in classrooms. I have to assume right now with the injunction that they're going to abide by that as well.
Yeah. Well, we asked him that question, and that's exactly what his he's got to follow the law. But it gets a little ridiculous when, for instance, keep the Sabbath holy, right? Well, the Sabbath in Jewish terms is on Friday. So what happens to Friday night football? You know, and how do you explain adultery to a third grader?
And that's part of what he wrote, what Judge Barry wrote in his ruling in his conclusion, that it opened the door, it put a kind of undue burden on the teachers to explain or answer these questions that they aren't necessarily required to or necessarily experts on. The conclusion was quite interesting, that he argued that the teachers would have to enter into awkward conversations, as he wrote.
I would think. And why the King James Version? Thou shalt not, thou shalt not, thou shalt, which I know is part of the statue at the
There's
state capitol.
Monument outside the state
capitol. And I was going to say, we did get a question offline. Do they have a defined translation of which version they need to post? And Frank said it's the King James Version.
And by all scholars, King James was a homosexual. So there you go. I mean, that's how crazy it is. You can Google it.
But it's also which is what they put on the monument. And the monument being in front of the Texas State House makes it in some ways condoned that text by the legislature because it is within their auspices and their grounds.
Right.
So.
Bianca, tell us about you. You're new to the HPM.
Yeah, I'm new to Houston Public Media. I've only been here a couple weeks. I moved to Houston a couple months ago, and I'm excited to be here.
Where are you from?
Where are you coming from?
I'm coming from Los Angeles, but I am originally from Fairfax, Virginia.
Excellent.
Wow. Boom, boom, boom.
Well, we are very lucky to have you. Bianca Seward is a reporter for Houston Public Media, and you can find more of her coverage at houstonpublicmedia.org. Bianca, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Coming up, we'll discuss an anti-poaching program led by Texas A&M University. Stay with us as Hello Houston continues.
Hello, I'm Josh Adams, General Manager of Houston Public Media. This station just lost $2.2 million in federal support annually. To keep our station strong, we've launched the Resiliency Fund, powered by community members just like you. Your support will help bridge the funding gap and ensure these programs remain free and accessible to everyone. If public media and this station matter to you, now is the time to act. Support the Resiliency Fund today at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate.
It's one thing to love public radio, but it's a special thing to support it. Consider this. If you've got a car you don't need anymore, or you've got one that's simply too expensive to repair, you can arrange to donate it to Houston Public Media. We take any kind of vehicle in any condition. It's easy for you, pickup is free, and it could be worth hundreds of dollars in support. Visit houstonpublicmedia.org/cars to learn more. And thanks.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from the 2025-2026 in-print Margaret Root Brown Reading Series, featuring Salman Rushdie, George Saunders, Marie Howe, and others. Season tickets and full lineup at inprint.org. Support for Houston Public Media comes from listeners like you and from the Holdsworth Center, taking nominations to honor teachers in the Houston area, to re-energize at a wellness retreat in the Texas Hill Country. Nomination information at teacherretreat.org. Support comes from the Eternal Gandhi Museum Houston, highlighting the power of nonviolent conflict resolution through examples of peace leaders worldwide. Now open. Field trips and group visits available. More at egmh.org. Support comes from SunnyPro, a Houston-based business advisory firm providing tailored consulting solutions, specializing in technology assessments, cybersecurity, AI strategy, and more. Details at sunnypro.com or follow at SunnyPro LLC.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on any of today's topics, call 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now here's Ernie Manous, Celestia Sherman, and Frank Billingsley.
All right, our final subject fascinates me. This is something else. Researchers at Texas A&M, of course, their nuclear engineering department are contributing to a collaboration seeking to help protect African rhinos from poachers using nuclear technology. This is called the Rhisotope Project. So the idea is you insert small radioactive metal rods into the horns of rhinos to prevent poachers from cutting them off and to help identify illegally poached horns. So to tell us about this, Craig Marianno, a professor at Texas A&M's Nuclear Engineering Department, and Jordan Hillis-Clark, a Texas A&M doctoral student. I'm telling you what, guys, this is something else. How did we come up with this to begin with, Craig?
Well, first I want to say thanks for having us on. And actually, Jordan is now Dr. Clark, so she is now no longer a student.
Wow, oh, well, congratulations.
Just goes to show you how long our show took today, that you got your doctorate while we were waiting for you.
Wonderful. So tell us about this project and how it came to be.
So this project came about, it was actually the brainchild of a colleague of mine at Witwatersrand University in South Africa, James Larkin. And he had this idea, it was crazy idea. Let's put radiation in horns to stop poaching. Unfortunately, he didn't have some of the capabilities that we have at A&M, and we were having an after-work discussion in Vienna, Austria, over some beers, and he mentioned that to me, and I said, I have the ability, I have the students, and whatever you need, I think we can help out. And that's kind of how it came about.
Okay, how does this work? I mean, how do you get a radioactive rod, first of all, in the horn of a rhino, and then how does that, other than identifying who might have taken the horn, how do you get people from, are they afraid to poach them if they think they're radioactive? Is that part of it?
Yeah, I'll let Jordan handle this one.
Okay, doctor, you handle this one.
Thank you. So yeah, there's two sides of that question. The first one is how do you put it in the horn? The way we do that is a veterinarian team with the animals goes out, sedates the animal to where it lays down. Then a drill is used to implant the source, and then it's cemented into the horn so you can't find it. The great part about this project, though, is that it kind of has three different layers. The first part is you are, no one really wants radiation in their home, so you're trying to deter poachers by not wanting to seek out something with radiation in it. And then whenever it's going through a transportation route, it's able to be found or detected through radiation portal monitors at any port of entry, whether that be vehicle, pedestrians, trains, boats, any form of transportation. And then also on the consumer side, we're trying to cut off that demand so people don't want it in their home. They don't want to use it for their traditional uses in their different communities. But so you're really trying to stop at all three points of contact. So from the poacher, transportation, and also on that consumer side. So it's really attacking all forms that you can even think it would be utilized for.
And am I safe in assuming you don't have to put it in all of them? Simply the idea that it could be in any of them is the deterrent.
Exactly.
And then does it... No, please, continue.
I would like to say it's not actually a metal rod. It's actually a very thin wire about the size of a grain of rice.
So it doesn't hurt the rhino.
Right, you drill into the horn about 6 inches from the base, and you try to put it in the middle of the horn itself, and then so drill in, push wire in, then put the cement. It's actually, I think, Elmer's glue and sawdust.
You're giving all your trade secrets away here.
That's right.
So
and then it is fixed in the horn.
Clearly, this poaching problem for rhinoceros horns must be frighteningly large. I mean, this is obviously for you to take the trouble to try to prevent this. Describe to us, what kind of a problem is it?
Yeah, that was something that we looked in at our research. Is this in order to take such drastic measures to where people do kind of have this fear of radiation, you have to get a lot of approvals in order to do something this grand. So we needed to make sure that, is this something really worth doing? And it absolutely is. If the South African government has said, if the poaching incidence comes to a 3.2%, then that means poaching is so significant that it's greater than the reproduction rate of the population. So you can look that over the last few decades, about 80% of the rhinoceros population has been poached. And as of 2023, the poaching incident rate was 3.1%. So it is significant. You can look at just doing a simple Google search, the local populations of all 5 species of rhinos, and they're all in very small thousands or hundreds of thousands, not even 20,000 for white rhinos. So it is significant to where if you don't make a drastic, innovative change or a poaching conservation approach, then you are essentially going to lose all 5 species of rhinos.
Frank mentioned it a moment ago, and we kind of glossed over it, but about how dangerous this is to the actual rhinos themselves as far as the radiation of it and such. And then I go to Sharknado, and I think, are you going to create this mass of rhinos that are like rhinosaurs, and they're going to be mutant rhinoceroses?
Rhinosaurs.
Rhinosaurus. Help walk me off the ledge there.
So the amount of radiation that we put in, and that was Jordan's main research, was we were looking at, what type of radiation we could put in the horn. And then once we realized the type of radiation we're going to place there, we could estimate what the dose to the skins, the eyes, and the forehead were going to be for the animal and for the relative activity that we put in each animal. And then from that, we could, there's a lot of science out there about the risks of, let's say, melanoma or skin cancers, or even cancers that might be for the animal in the eye. And we applied those risk values and figured out the amount of radiation we could put in the horn to be well below any sort of risk of hurting the animal. In fact, I think Jordan could tell the number. It's like 1 in 10,000 right now is the amount of risk that we put in. I don't know if you remember the number, Jordan, or not.
I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but it is almost negligible or completely inadmissible to even what would be touched, considering the poaching incident rate itself. It's about like 1 in a billion rhinos would receive any sort of fatal cancer, or it's about 1 in a few million of what they would see of deterministic effects or short-term effects itself.
How many rhinos are getting this done?
Right now, I think it is around 30. They did an initial event in July of 2024 where they put in, I believe it was 20 rhinos were treated with the sources. In July of this year, the South African government finally approved the full process and has opened it up for all reserves within South Africa, and I think also Botswana. They implanted, I think, 10 to 12. I can't remember. Jordan knows that differently.
All right. Well, good luck. I know the rhinos are loving you out there.
Puts a whole new term to rhinoplasty. You've probably heard all these jokes.
Is a professor at Texas A&M University's Nuclear Engineering Department and Dr. Jordan Hillis-Clark of Texas A&M. Congratulations, Dr. Jordan Hillis-Clark. Thank you for joining us today on Hello Houston.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Coming up on Hello Houston, we'll continue discussing the top stories of the day. Stay with us. Oh, and we're going to go right into those top stories of
just so
the
much
day.
has been going on today.
There really is a lot going on today. You know, right at the top of the 11 hour, right here on Hello Houston, we had County Commissioner of Precinct 4, Lesley Briones, discussing that our Harris County is dealing with a $48 million budget deficit.
That to me didn't sound that bad, though. I mean, it seems very doable
when she started.
What she said.
But we only have 3 or 4 of them, and we only have 4 of them for sure, and 1 judge, and they can't get it in line, it seems like.
Well, it looks like that there is a coalition coming together that's going to move forward on these things. And I liked her practical approach at looking at that's what I think we always look at, too, when we talk about budget cutting, that we all know that there's waste, even in our own homes, in our lives, where we could cut back on certain things without ultimately affecting our way of life.
Right.
And we asked that question of her, and I thought it was interesting talking about it wouldn't affect any of the services if you go about it methodically, department by department. You don't refill some things, you trim other things.
And that's the thing. It all
that's
sounded
the way I like
very good. You know, we also heard from Representative Penny Morales Shaw, who was in Austin.
Who's got her own battle going on.
Who has her own battle going on, which was extremely interesting that we were able to be updated right there.
Didn't get a real answer on whether they would be fed and housed while they're locked in chambers.
I don't know that they necessarily know that. I think their people can bring them food and such. It's not like they have them visiting hours.
I appreciate their objections, but all you got to do is let a DPS officer go with you and say,
but
hey.
see, that's the whole point. They shouldn't have to be tracked.
Well, I just say, take me to Whataburger and
can you DoorDash it? You know, the other thing is
that's why you sit with us and don't sit in the legislature.
I guess so.
You know, another big key topic today that we were discussing was Senate Bill 10, and there's still a lot of questions around that. I know
the whole Ten Commandment thing.
Yes, we had some questions. What version? I believe it was
the King James version.
King James version,
Yes.
and. You know,
which is the whole thou shalt not. And look, there's good moral code there. You know, thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not steal. But there's also a lot of controversy over some of the laws. I mean, what the Lord's name in vain.
Right.
Well, we have dealt with so many heavy issues today. I need to lighten things up a little bit here. And I want everyone to know today just happens to be National Bacon Lovers Day.
So I was up in Montreal this summer, and I ordered Eggs Benedict, and it came with what looks like American bacon. But I thought,
Canadian.
But
bacon.
I was in Canada, so it's got to be Canadian bacon, right? No matter what bacon you have, if you're in Canada, it's Canadian bacon.
Canadian. Oh, right.
In France, they just call them fries. In Canada, is Canadian bacon just bacon?
Listen, I absolutely love a good Eggs Benny. And I want the Canadian bacon on my Eggs Benedict.
Well, it's got the yellow has to pop out of the egg, and I tell them that every time I order that, and they say, "Oh yeah, absolutely." I would say 5 out of 10 times it doesn't happen.
Canadian bacon to me is ham. Bacon is bacon.
Yes.
And here we go, Celeste. I'm going to turn all the vitriol that comes towards you when you say movies you haven't seen. I don't love bacon.
I love American bacon.
I don't like
what we think of as American bacon.
You know, if it's there, if I get bacon on a burger and I haven't necessarily ordered it, which I never would, I'll just take it off. I don't eat it. I just don't like it.
For the record, we just got a YouTube comment. So Let's Vamonos Network says it's also National Latina Day. Hey,
there's one that wasn't on my list.
Shout out to my fellow Latinas. That's right. My mom is from Mexico. My dad is from Panama, and.
Does that mean you're buying margaritas today?
Yesterday was Margarita Day, I think. Today,
thank you for that.
Fritz has been rather active on our YouTube, and he brought up a good one that we were just joking about. Canada Dry. When you order it in Canada, do you just order dry?
Hello, dry.
I like that one.
That's
there
actually
we go.
funny.
Okay, you know what else day it is? Quickly, it is World Mosquito Day, and I bring that up because that can be a serious issue. Mosquitoes.
Well, I mean, they can transport a lot of diseases like West Nile virus.
Yeah,
and some of the
other.
And
the weather right now is pretty prime for them, is it? Or has it gotten too hot for them?
No, I think it's pretty prime. You've got to keep the standing water away. That's where they breed.
And that's a trick for people because it has been rainy.
It's been raining
make sure
every day.
You don't have that standing water around your house. Get rid of it.
It's been raining every day. It's tough.
So there's your the more you know, of you about mosquitoes. Got to be careful about them. They carry disease, but they also are just irritating, and they love to bite me.
Yeah, they don't bite me.
I know.
I don't know why. They don't bother me too much.
Well, that means, remember, we actually had somebody from Harris County Health who explained how the mosquitoes are drawn to a certain protein. That
sweetness, I like to think.
Yes,
the sweetness
right.
that you exude. I also wonder, and I asked them that question a while ago. I still haven't gotten my answer, which is, can't they just make a pill we can take that changes the way our body odor comes off to mosquitoes, and then they
take a garlic pill every day. I bet that would work.
Ooh.
Oh, I bet it would.
It would keep away a lot of other things as well besides mosquitoes.
Don't call an Uber.
Mosquitoes, coworkers.
Yeah.
It's a lot to go on. A couple other little things. If you are a Peacemaker fan, that series hits HBO Max season 2 hits tomorrow. I didn't watch it. I'm not much of a. I got worn out on superheroes.
Yeah,
I couldn't keep track of them all.
Movies, obviously not
Just
my
like
key
my
point.
exes.
But I do
Couldn't
want to
keep track of them
remind
all.
you, if you heard or saw, or you just happened to catch some of us, you can find all of our episodes on YouTube. So be sure to head to our YouTube channel as well. We have multiple reporters that are going to continue their coverage of what's happening, of all the big stories that we've been covering today. And you can go to HoustonPublicMedia.org. But that brings us to the end of today's show.
Interesting show.
It definitely. And we want to thank you for listening to Hello Houston. We will be back tomorrow with more conversations. And we're also going to be speaking with the Consul General of Ukraine. That's a conversation you don't want to miss. This is News 88.7. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for listening to Hello Houston. Join us every Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. to talk all things Houston. The Hello Houston production team includes Garrett Bowman, William Menjivar, Jen Altide, Todd Holslander, and Jim Kovacic. For the latest in local news, subscribe to the Hello Houston daily newsletter at HoustonPublicMedia.org. Hello Houston is a production of Houston Public Media. The opinions expressed by the guests of this program are solely their own and do not represent the views of management, staff, or underwriters of Houston Public Media. This is News 88.7.